Hi, my name is Travis Froelich. I'm a certified personal trainer through both ISSA and NCSF. I'm also a certified corrective exercise specialist and nutrition coach through ISSA. Today I'm working on becoming a strength and conditioning coach through ISSA as well. Our main focus today is going to be a 17-year-old high school junior who regularly competes in powerlifting. Our subject is really going to be focusing on proper form and technique versus strength today, so we're only going to be using a 45-pound barbell in all three lifts. Usually at the end of a powerlifting season, we'd be going into the postseason, which we'd be working more on auxiliary work to help increase the strength. However, in this video today, we're just going to be focusing on the three main lifts: bench, squat, and deadlift that you'd see in a competitive season. So our main focus for everything is going to be proper technique and form. Most importantly, we're also going to be talking about auxiliary work that will help increase those strengths, just quick demonstrations, also any deviations that can occur, and any muscles that are the main muscles that are worked in each lift. Hope you enjoyed today's video. Thanks. So before we start today, we want to make sure that we warm up properly. That's going to pertain to the three lifts that we're going to do. So for a squat, bench, and deadlift, we'd want to do some dynamic stretching that is going to increase the mobility, the range of motion, and really loosen up the muscles to make sure that you perform the lifts properly. So some dynamic stretching that can help improve those lifts are going to include air squats, arm circles for the rotator cuffs, some fire hydrants to really loosen up the hips, get that ready for the squat. Really anything, Frankenstein's for the hamstrings, anything that is really going to warm up the muscles and get them ready for the lifts. Today, for our subject, our 17-year-old high school junior is already warmed up, so we're just going to go ahead and hop into the three lifts to really show technique. So first, we're going to start off with squat out of the three lifts. Before anything, you want to make sure that the barbell is at correct height to make sure that it's not too hard or too difficult to take it off the racks when you're about to perform the squat. I believe this height is about okay for myself. You want it about shoulder height. To perform the squat properly, well, before we talk about that, the main muscles performed in the squat are going to be the quadriceps, hamstrings, glutes, and it's really going to increase core strength because you want to keep a stable trunk throughout, really keep that spine neutral. So to perform a proper squat, you want to make sure that you come up to the bar. You want to drop under the bar. There's two different ways you can have the bar on your neck, either high bar or low bar. High bar, you're going to keep it a little bit higher up on your traps, kind of up near your neck, where it's going to keep your body a little bit more upwards, whereas low bar is going to have it a little bit lower on your back, near the rhomboids. It's going to have you tend to lean forward more. Whichever one is more comfortable for you is the one you perform. You want to make sure that you're keeping a proper neutral spine, shoulders pulled back. You want your feet about shoulder width apart or slightly outside hip width, toes in line with your knees, and you really want to make sure once the bar is on, you can perform that hip hinge where you push your butt out and drop down like you're sitting in a chair. You want to make sure you go down to at least parallel, where it's in line with your knees or right below your knee level, which is a little bit below 90 degrees. Once you hit that spot, you want to make sure you're dropping low enough but smooth. You don't want to drop too fast or too slow. So once you hit that spot at parallel below, you're going to explode upwards, really using everything in your lower body to drive upwards and rise, exhaling with all that air you kept in as you were going down. So now we're going to have our 17-year-old high school junior powerlifter come in and perform the squat as I can point out those things I just discussed. So this is Dylan. He's our high school powerlifter. He's 17 years old and he's been competing in powerlifting for almost 2 years now. So I'm going to have him hop up under the bar. It looks like the bar is going to be at a good height for him to safely unrack it. He's also performing a high bar squat where the bar is a little bit higher up on his traps. Once he's ready, he's going to take a step back from the racks so he can perform the squat properly. As you can see, his feet are a little bit outside hip width. His toes are pointed out so they're in line with his knees, which is really going to open up the pelvis, allow for a more fluid squat. His shoulders are pulled back and he's really standing straight with a nice straight spine. So when he performs the squat, he's going to take a nice deep breath in, really kind of perform that Valsalva maneuver to keep everything nice and stable and strong throughout the lift. So once when he starts performing the lift, he's going to perform that hip hinge where he kicks his butt out and drops down like he's about to sit into a chair. Go ahead. As you can see, his knees are in line with his toes. He's keeping that nice straight spine, hands in line still, everything in line. His knees, shoulders, or elbows and toes. Once he's ready, he's going to drive upwards, explode upwards, exhaling, And then with the spotters, usually one on each side for a powerlifting season and one behind, we're gonna help him safely rack the bar again. All right, so now we're gonna talk about some deviations during the squat. So I'm gonna have Dill perform another proper squat. However, as he's doing it, I'm gonna show some deviations that can occur during the lift. Usually deviations occur when a beginner is using too much weight or form wasn't taught correctly, so you really want to emphasize proper form and technique over anything before you start increasing weight on these certain lifts. So go and hop up under the bar again. As before, perfect form. It's going to unrack the bar. Again, 2 spotters. There's a spotter on each side and a spotter behind if it was a competitive season. Toes in line with the knees, about hip width stance. So if he was to squat down and perform it incorrectly, which he isn't, go ahead and squat down. Some deviations that occur is rounding of the lower back. This is because he's probably not performing the hip hinge correctly. Knee valgus, which means that his inner thighs aren't as strong as they should be, which could be the inward portion of the knees or even the excess portion of the knees pointing outwards. Also, the heels could be rising, which means he's leaning forward too much. So really you want to make sure that all of that is done properly. Heels on the ground, forming that hip hinge correctly, go and rise, and keeping that nice straight spine. All right, go and rack. The second lift we're going to perform today is the bench. For the bench, you want to make sure, again, that it's at a height where you can easily unrack the bar from the racks without hitting it or unsafely doing so. You want to make sure that as you lie down, the bar is kind of in eye level. That way, again, once you unrack it, it'll be over your chest properly and you won't hit any of the racks. The main muscles performed that are used during the performance of a bench is going to be the pectoralis major and minor, the front delt, and triceps. Again, you want to make sure that you have a strong back, nice strong core to help you during the lift. So once you lie down and the bar is within eye level of you, you're going to grip it. Pretty much varies by person, but you want to be at least shoulder width apart. You want to, again, you want to wrap your thumbs around the bar. You don't want to perform that death grip because that bar can slip out really easy. So you want to perform the thumb over the bar. That way you have a nice hold grip on it. Once you unrack the bar, you're going to drop it down nice and slowly again. Again, inhaling as you do so, kind of keep that trunk nice and stable. You're going to keep it in line with the middle of your chest, and once you touch the middle of your chest, you're going to explode up. You're going to take a second pause and then explode up. And once you do so, exhale to let out all that air. Once you reach the top, you'll take a second, and again, a spotter should be behind, and 2 on the side, or 1 on the side of each to help you rack the bar safely. Now we're gonna have Dylan come out again and perform the bench. Here we have Dylan again, our high school junior. He's already lying flat on the bench with the bar about right over eye line. He has the bar about shoulder width apart, and you make sure that his thumbs are wrapped around so he has a good, secure grip on the bar. Proper bench form, you want to keep your feet flat on the floor, really stabilize your whole body. Again, his feet are about shoulder width or a little outside hip width apart, toes in line with his knees. You want to make sure you keep your butt flat on the bench so you don't arch your back too much. However, you do want to contract your shoulder blades together to keep your chest pushed out. So when Dill's ready, usually there's a spotter on each side during the competitive season and 1 spotter behind him to help him unrack the bar. But when he's ready, I'm going to have him unrack the bar. The bar is going to be over the midline of his chest. When he's ready, he's going to inhale, really keep that core nice and stable. Use his lats and back to really increase the strength as he pushes up. Once he's ready, he's going to drop down. Again, he's going to take a slight pause. It's in line with his chest, and then when he's ready, he's going to explode out, exhaling. And then once he's done, again, the spotters on both sides would help him rack the bar. Go and rack it. And then we're going to set it down nice and smoothly, and then he's going to go ahead and stand up. I'm going to have Dill perform the lift one more time just to kind of discuss any deviations. So I'm going to have him go and lift the bar up, unrack it. So some deviations that can occur during lifts, again, usually depends on beginners and how much weight. Some deviations that can occur is the flailing of the legs and the feet, really to make sure that you get that last effort push, or even the butt racing from the bench to really decrease that range of motion and arch that back. Also, you could always be doing that death grip to where the bar or the thumb is under the other side of the bar, and the bar can easily slip out. However, you want to practice good form, so I'm just going to have him show good form one last time. Go ahead and drop it down, take that slight pause, and then explode upwards. And then we're going to go ahead and rack it together. Right. So for this last lift out of the 3, we're going to perform deadlift. For this video, since we don't have a proper deadlift platform and we're just using the barbell to show technique, I'm going to have Dylan, when he comes out here, pull the bar off the L hooks here and go down into a deadlift position and then drive upwards to show proper form. There are two different types of deadlifts, sumo and conventional. Usually, again, it's based off preference. Most times for taller people, it works better to do sumo, but conventional is the main standard of deadlift. So deadlifts usually work full body. It's a really great full body exercise. It's going to keep that core nice and tight and strong. It's going to increase your lower back strength, glute strength, quads, hamstrings, calves. It's going to work your shoulders, biceps, triceps, traps, lats. It's a real full body exercise and it's a great one to perform as long as technique and form are acceptable. So for conventional deadlift, what you want to do is make sure that when you are in the deadlift position at the bottom where the bar is on the ground, you step up to the bar with about feet hip width apart, toes slightly pointed out. You want to make sure your knees are in line with your toes. When you perform that hip hinge to get into position, you want to grab the bar right outside your legs. Once you're ready, you'll inhale again, drive all the way up, keeping that bar close to your body, pushing your pelvis through, exhaling. When you're ready, you'll drop the bar safely to the ground, keep a nice, good form and a straight spine. For sumo deadlift, it's essentially the same concept, a little bit different form. You again, starting down on the ground where the bar should be, you're gonna have a lot wider stance, pretty far out, a little bit outside shoulder width, toes slightly pointed out, and you're gonna have your hands gripped inside the legs. Again, you'll hip hinge, keeping your knees in line with your toes. Grab the bar when you're ready, inhale, drive all the way up, pushing your pelvis through, keeping that shoulders pulled back, nice straight spine, and then exhale as you're ready to return the bar safely to the ground. Now we're gonna have Dill come out, and he's gonna show us both the conventional and sumo. So here we have Dylan again. He's gonna perform conventional deadlift first, and then next we will do sumo. So again, since we don't have a proper deadlift platform, we're gonna be pulling it off these L hooks and then taking a step back and dropping down into a deadlift position as if we were starting from the floor. So go ahead, Dill, go and take it off. As you can see, his grip is about outside legs. When he has his legs about hip width stance, toes slightly pointed out and in line with his knees. So go and go down if you were starting from the bottom. Again, you can see nice, perfect hip hinge, butt pushed back, straight spine, shoulders pulled back, and then his knees in line with his toes. If you were starting from the bottom, he would set up just like this. When he's ready, take a big deep breath in, and then drop all the way up, keeping the bar close, pushing that pelvis through when he gets to the top. Once he's here, and again, if we were starting from the bottom, he would keep that nice straight spine. He would exhale as he returned the bar safely to the ground. So now I'm going to have Dylan perform the sumo deadlift. The concept of the sumo is pretty similar to the conventional, however the form and technique is a little bit different. Again, since we don't have a proper deadlift platform, we're going to have Dylan take the bar off the L hooks here and take a step back. So as he does that, we can see that his grip is going to be a nice inside grip inside the legs versus outside grip outside the legs in conventional. As you can see, his feet are in line with his toes are slightly pointed out and his toes are in line with his knees. It's a nice wide stance. He's still keeping that nice straight spine. So I'm going to have him perform the exercise twice to kind of show the difference, and then I'm going to have him re-hook the bar or re-rack the bar onto the L hooks, right? So go on and perform it. As you can see, nice straight spine, nice hip hinge. He's going to drive upward, pushing the pelvis through. Go back down, do it one more time. This would be the starting position. He would drive all the way up, and then I'm going to have him rack it as if, just to show that we do have L hooks here. So for the differences between the conventional and sumo is stance mostly. For conventional, you want to be about hip width apart. For sumo, you want to be about shoulder width, a little bit outside shoulder width apart. Toes still slightly pointed out. You want to perform that hip hinge, keeping that spine nice and neutral, and then keeping the shoulders pulled back and chest high. When you perform it, you want to perform that Valsalva maneuver to keep the core nice and stable, and make sure that you're breathing throughout the lift. Keep a nice good breath in as you go up for the deadlift, exhale as you go down. So we just performed the conventional deadlift and the sumo deadlift. I'm going to talk about some deviations quick that can occur during these lifts. Again, just like I've discussed before, a lot of deviations occur with improper technique, mainly because it's a beginner that was taught wrong, or they're just attempting too much weight. So some deviations that can occur in both sumo and conventional deadlifts are going to be the rounding of the back. Again, you want to make sure that you keep that nice straight spine, shoulders pulled back, and perform that hip hinge. A lot of people tend to round those shoulders forward, creating that kind of hunch. Also, the raising of the hips before the upper body. You want to make the deadlift one fluid motion, one smooth motion, to make sure that both the hips and upper portion, upper body, rise at the same point. If the hips tend to rise or the upper body tends to rise before the other, then it'll be looking like two different movements combined in one. Again, proper technique is going to be the most important thing to make sure that you avoid injury and can increase maximum results. So the last thing we're going to talk about is auxiliary exercises to do for each of the three lifts to make sure that you're increasing the strength for a powerlifter during competitive season, off season, post season, whatever season. You really want to make sure that you're focusing on these exercises as well, not just the three lifts. So we're going to start off with squat. Some exercises that help with squat that you can supplement in are going to be leg press, partial and pause squats, where you're focusing on just going down slightly, or the pause squat where you're resting a little bit longer at the bottom and then increasing that explosiveness. Also, there's front squats where the load is in the front portion of your body, holding it in, really working on the quad strength, and then step ups as well, where you're doing more isolateral exercises. Next, when we go on to bench, you really want to focus on increasing your chest, shoulders, back, and triceps as well. So for chest, you can supplement in some dumbbell bench, incline or decline, barbell or dumbbell press. For triceps, any kind of tricep extension, push downs, dips, really focusing on that strength into triceps. Shoulders, you want to focus on some laterals and front raises, really, or military presses as well. You want to make sure that your rotator cuffs are strong as well, so doing arm circles to really tighten that up and make sure that that's mobile and fluid enough. For the back, you can focus on some dumbbell rows, lat pull downs, anything, pull-ups as well to increase that strength. For deadlifts, again, similar to bench, you want to make sure that you're focusing on pull-ups, wide grip pull-ups for the lats, lat pull downs, dumbbell rows, and hyper extensions for the lower back, or good mornings as well, Romanian deadlifts. A bunch of different exercises that can really help supplement in that strength training to make sure that when you go into those new 1 rep max tests, you can really give it your all. For all three lifts, you want to make sure your core strength is strong. So doing core stabilizing exercises, bird dogs, wood choppers, high to low cable rows, planks, ab roll, at wheels, anything that really is going to increase your core stabilizers and then your spine in the back as well. So thanks for watching today. Again, I just want to make sure that we went over everything. I appreciate all of you watching. We went over the three main lifts for a powerlifter: squat, bench, and deadlift for either competitive or postseason. We talked about some auxiliary exercises that can help increase strength as well, and really focused on form and technique before anything. That's going to be the main important factor in performing these lifts, not only to increase your results and maximize any benefits, but also make sure you avoid any injury as possible. Like always, form is number one. Make sure that you're supplementing and strengthening those stabilizing muscles as well, core, lower back, and any minor muscle that helps as a secondary in the lift. Hope you enjoyed today's video. Thanks.